Have you ever noticed how easy it is to slip into complaining, even when you don't mean to? You wake up, the coffee spills, traffic's bad, and your patience wears thin. And before you know it, your whole day feels heavier. But what if complaining isn't just negativity? What if it's your nervous system's way of asking for help? Hey there, and welcome to Beyond Survival, a Pathway to Peace. I'm your host, Naomi Stanchfield. If you're living with the effects of trauma or PTSD, you're in the right place. I know what it's like to live in survival mode, always waiting for the next shoe to drop. For years, I searched for peace, for a way to feel safe in my own body again. That search became the foundation of the work I do today as a trauma-informed coach. This podcast is here to support you as you begin your own journey towards a calmer, more peaceful life. Each week, we'll explore real tools, heartfelt conversations, and simple practices to help you heal, one step at a time. You don't have to walk this path alone. Let's take it together. Today, we're diving into a really interesting and very human topic, complaining. Specifically, why do we do it, what it's doing in our brains and bodies, and how we shift that habit without judging ourselves. This episode isn't about labeling complaining as bad. It's about understanding what's underneath, because complaining often isn't just negativity. It's communication. It's our nervous system's way of saying, I don't feel safe, or I need support, or even, I don't know what else to do right now. This one really hits close to home for me because while I try to be a very positive person most of the time, I find myself slipping into habits of complaining about my kids, my husband, my job, my weight, every little thing. And the thing about all of this is, I love my kids and my husband. My job is actually the first one I've truly enjoyed in a very long time. And yeah, maybe my weight isn't where I want it to be, but is it really something I need to complain about? No. It seems like something small goes wrong, and all of a sudden I find myself in this spiral of complaining. It starts with just complaining to myself in my mind. Then I'm venting to coworkers and friends, and pretty soon every conversation has at least one complaint in it. This all happened so quickly, I don't even realize I'm doing it until I'm weeks in and my mood is so low I can't figure out why. If I sit down and trace it all back to the last time I was in a positive mood, I can see that all of that complaining slowly snowballed until it affected my mood, my motivation, my relationships, and every aspect of my life. And then I feel guilty about doing this to myself again and have to do an overhaul and try to be positive once again. So if you've ever caught yourself stuck in loops of complaining, then felt guilty about it, take a deep breath. You're not doing anything wrong. You're being human. And there's actually a lot of healing power in learning to listen to what those complaints are trying to tell you. And there's actually a lot of healing power in learning to listen to what those complaints are trying to tell you. Let's start by unpacking what complaining actually means. When most people think of complaining, they picture someone who's negative or ungrateful, always pointing out what's wrong. But from a trauma-informed lens, we can see it differently. Complaining is a coping mechanism. It's a way of outwardly expressing internal discomfort. When something feels off, unfair, or unsafe, complaining is the nervous system's attempt to get relief or connection. Think about it. After trauma, many of us develop hypervigilance, constantly scanning for what might go wrong. Complaining becomes a way to name those threats out loud, hoping that someone will finally hear us, understand us, maybe even protect us. The problem isn't that we complain. It's that we often get stuck there. When complaining becomes our default mode of communication, it keeps our focus anchored in what's wrong, reinforcing the very stress we are trying to release. So let's zoom out for a minute and look at what's happening in the brain when we make complaining a habit. Our brains are wired for efficiency. Through a process called neuroplasticity, the more that we repeat a thought pattern, the easier it becomes for our brain to go there automatically. So if our default response to stress is to complain, our brain forms and then strengthens that pathway. What starts as a moment of venting can slowly turn into a habit of seeing life through a negative filter. That doesn't mean that you're a negative person. It means your brain has learned that complaining feels like safety because it's familiar. Constantly complaining fuels both negativity bias and confirmation bias. We discussed negativity bias in episode 8, but as a refresher, negativity bias is the brain's tendency to register, process, and dwell on negative stimulus more readily than positive ones. When you complain a lot, you strengthen the neural pathway for negativity, making it easier for your brain to default to negative thoughts in the future. It can make you more pessimistic and less resilient as you focus on problems instead of solutions. In episode 10, we discussed confirmation bias. But as a quick reminder, confirmation bias is when your brain looks for proof of what you already believe. So it searches for, interprets, and recalls information that confirms your pre-existing beliefs. Complaining makes you more likely to ignore positive outcomes and focus on frustrations, confirming your belief that things always go wrong. And when we complain to other people, we are seeking to gain validation and agreement from them, which confirms your negative outlook. Physically, constantly complaining can keep your body in a low-level state of stress. Each time you replay frustrations or grievances, your nervous system reacts. Your heart rate goes up slightly, your breathing tightens, and your brain releases stress chemicals like cortisol. And here's the key part. None of that happens because you're doing something wrong. It happens because your body is trying to protect you. Complaining is the mind's attempt to process pain, but it doesn't always complete the cycle and bring you back to calm. So if you want to shift this pattern, the first step is awareness. Start by gently observing when and why you complain. You might ask yourself these questions. Do I complain most when I'm tired, lonely, or overwhelmed? What do I actually need in those moments? Validation? Control? Comfort? Connection? Am I venting to release something, or am I replaying it because it feels familiar? You can even do a quick reflection practice. Every time you catch yourself complaining, pause and ask, what emotion am I really expressing here? Often, underneath is fear, grief, exhaustion, or an unmet need. This isn't about silencing your feelings, it's about translating them. So instead of looping in the story of what's wrong, you can connect to what you truly need. Now that we know why it happens, let's talk about what we can actually do when we notice ourselves in that loop. Once you've built that awareness, you can start reshaping the habit. Here's a simple 4-step shift that can make a huge difference. Step 1. Pause and name what you feel. For example, instead of saying, I hate my job, take a breath and say, I feel stuck and unseen. Step 2. Ask what would help you feel safer or more empowered. Maybe that's setting a boundary, taking a short break, or having an honest conversation with someone. Step 3. Reframe your language into a need or a request. Instead of no one ever listens to me, try, I really need to feel heard right now. That small change communicates your need directly and invites connection instead of defensiveness. And step 4, ground before you express. Use a somatic grounding technique, like taking 3 deep breaths or feeling your feet on the floor before you speak. This helps your body settle so your words come from calm awareness, not reactivity. When your nervous system is balanced, you can express uncomfortable truths without slipping into complaint. Here's the truth. The goal isn't to never complain again. That's unrealistic, and honestly, sometimes we need to vent. The real work is learning to notice when venting becomes looping and when looping turns into self-sabotage. By bringing awareness and compassion into your complaints, you create a space for healing. You begin to see that the complaining voice isn't a flaw. It's a part of you that's saying, please help me feel safe. If you want a little experiment this week, try a mindful complaint challenge. For the next 7 days, every time you catch yourself complaining, pause and rewrite it as a feeling or a need. Notice how this changes your energy, your relationships, and even your sense of empowerment. And as always, take it slow. Healing is in the noticing, not in the perfection. Thank you so much for joining me today on Beyond Survival, A Pathway to Peace. I'm so grateful to walk alongside you on this journey. Remember, healing isn't about perfection. It's about returning to yourself one small step at a time. Every time you show up for yourself like this, you're building something beautiful, a life beyond trauma. Healing is a journey, and every step, no matter how small, is meaningful. Be gentle with yourself along the way, and remember, you don't have to do it alone. If you're finding things especially hard right now, please don't hesitate to reach out for professional support. You don't have to do this alone. Help is out there, and healing is possible. If this episode resonated with you, feel free to share it with someone on their own path. Also, if you found value in today's episode, I invite you to connect with me on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at Beyond Survival Pathway. There, you'll find more insights, encouragement, and community support. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you'll be with us for the next part of the journey. And consider joining our Facebook book club, Beyond Survival, Healing Through Stories. It's a welcoming place to explore transformation through shared stories and connect with others on the path to healing. Until next time, keep putting one foot in front of the other. You're not walking alone, and the path to peace is unfolding with every step. Let's keep walking this journey together. Take care, and I'll meet you back here soon.